Welcome to another episode of the YHH Junior Hockey Pod. We got some exciting news to talk about today, some fun trades to talk about, some hot takes. We got a little bit of everything for the show today. Once again, as usual, I'm Sydney Wolf, joined by Drew Steele and Peter Odney. And the show is brought to you, as usual, by the USHL itself. We love the USHL. We got a lot of USHL news to talk about today. Some first career goals, some commitments, some trades. Going to look at standings and top scores as well. But obviously, we love the USHL. I'm going to talk about them a lot today, along with APX Hockey as well. You can find out more information about them, apx-hockey.com, for all your training and development and advising needs, along with the new news tab over the past few months where I've been posting a lot of great stories. So go check it out. But we are ready for the show here today. Drew and Peter, how are you guys doing on this Wednesday night, now in November? It seems to me like October flew by. I don't know if it feels like that for you guys too.
It feels good. We just finished up the pumpkin down in Rochester. It shows you where my head's at. Long weekend in Rochester, but a good weekend in Rochester. We're going to be trucking her up to Moorhead for the Blue Ox in less than 2 weeks. That's it's the start of the season when you're gone for 3 straight nights and then you come home and your wife is like, so you're going to be home for a little while? I'm like, we're taking off again in 2 weeks. And then she'll leave for Thanksgiving, and then we'll be in a 2-step for the rest of the year of who's watching the dogs and who is finding doggy daycare. But a good start to the season. Big Pumpkin was a lot of fun. Ready to chat some juniors with you guys.
Yeah, it's good over here in Madison too. Anytime I hear pumpkin, I always think of the pumpkin.
Pumpkin.
I want to say it every time that you said it. I've held it in. So
what is that from?
Pumpkin.
It's like a
video of a guy saying pumpkin, and it's just the thing.
What?
It just is.
Yeah.
I don't know how else to describe it. I think the origin story of that video is just a bunch of people saying their favorite vegetables or something, and some guy says pumpkin in a funny voice, and you just hear the audio of the guy saying pumpkin everywhere.
Well, it does count because pumpkins are squash.
Pumpkin. Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, they're all saying their like favorite vegetables, and then
pumpkin. Yeah. Peace. Pumpkin. You can really hear it, but it's really good.
Yeah.
I like it. Drew, you should call that guy up.
Yeah, I mean,
that would be a huge
that would actually be unreal.
It would actually be unreal. That's like, I feel like everyone I know just says pumpkin all the time in the fall now. Just,
what a gift for the pod.
That video has 2.3 million likes.
Yeah.
I give up trying to decide what's popular.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
I mean, we referenced it, so it must be doing its job even without the likes.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I definitely know what you were talking about immediately, but yeah, pumpkin. We are now moving into Thanksgiving-ish time, and then it's gonna be Christmas-ish time, and just all the hockey seasons are starting. So feels like we're fully into the hockey time right now. I keep forgetting it's even November. I keep thinking Halloween is like in 3 weeks, and it's already passed. So very strange.
Halloween's over, bro.
It's over, yeah. It's definitely over now. But we actually had some interesting news to kick off the show today. There was a couple of trades this week involving Minnesotans, so obviously we want to talk about those. The big one, the main one that we saw earlier, YHH actually had this pretty early today on the Twitter feed before it was officially official. But Brock Schultz from East Grand Forks and also a North Dakota commit is going from Waterloo to Sioux Falls for the rights to, I believe, Drew, you probably know this name better than I do how to say it, Michael Chambray, I assume.
Nailed it.
Say it. But he is one of those guys who we just mentioned this last week on the show, that there's always a handful of guys that go from college back to juniors. He's actually been at Mercyhurst, I want to say, for like the past 2 years, and he's got like 1 more year of juniors eligibility. So it looks like he's probably going to be coming back to junior hockey, but That's kind of a big one, and I don't know if you guys had any thoughts on that. I saw a lot of people were pretty shocked because Brock Schultz was the captain for Waterloo, so obviously not a easy player to part with if you're a fan of the team.
As Chambray played to NTDP, then Sioux Falls, it came across the wire a couple days that they added him to the roster, which I think we'll talk about Lincoln Keene later on, potentially being added to a different team's roster, which basically just means that they're protected by that team. Chambray played last season in Sioux Falls, which meant they had to add him to their retention list before they could do anything with him. And maybe it's something where Chambray was like, I'm only going to play for Waterloo. Maybe it's something where Schultz was trying to get to Sioux Falls. I would think that would be kind of a big leap to kind of say, with him being the captain of Waterloo. Waterloo slow out of the start, so whether it's the goaltending the issue, whatever it is, they think this might be a temporary patch, it looks like.
A temporary patch. I mean, you would know better than me what a temporary patch looks like in the USHL. The Blackhawks released something on their website, and it says Chambray brings experience to Waterloo. Yeah, I mean, I guess it looks like he logged a couple of games with Mercyhurst before coming back.
Yeah, it wasn't a ton. It doesn't look like great stats for Mercyhurst in that time, and he came out of the NTDP the same year Carson Musser would have, going to Sioux Falls for that 1 year and playing a year and change at Mercyhurst is crazy to me too, because usually the kids that are dropping back down to junior, you only see it of the freshmen or sitting out their sophomore season that they're redshirting in a way with their junior. So it is a weird one where he played 9 games over 2 years with Mercyhurst.
Yeah, that's like very odd because did the NTDP route and then did the extra year of junior, so didn't even go directly from NTDP to college, played a year in Sioux Falls, and then played 2 years at Mercyhurst. Well, I guess 1 plus a couple games this year, but was a sophomore this year, and now is going to be headed back to, well, it sounds like juniors. And he's just barely eligible. I saw this. If you look up his birthday, it's January 7th. So he's only eligible to come back to the USHL by a couple of days. If his birthday was like literally a week or so earlier, he would have had to stick around or go in the portal or something like that. But I mean, it's hard to tell with those Mercyhurst stats too, because I know he didn't play much, but Mercyhurst has also not been the most competitive college hockey program over the past few years. So I don't know. We'll see what happens, but I feel like most of those guys who come back from college typically to juniors usually are also in the transfer portal. So I assume that means he's probably not going to be going back to Mercyhurst. Probably will be looking at other options, but always going to be interesting because that means he just has the rest of this season and then next year would not be eligible for junior. So always something interesting to keep an eye on.
Yeah, you mentioned the eligibility factor. I don't know. I know in football it's 4 games. What the number is to like ruin a year eligibility at the college level? Would he still go into school next year as a sophomore?
I think he'd probably have to be a junior next year since he played games this season. And I assume it's not a medical reason, like you're not injured.
The only reason I wonder is because in college football,
Not sure.
if you play, you can play in up to 3 games. Or it might be up to 4 games. There's a certain deadline where you can still redshirt, like if you just call it quits after that year. Also, the path to NTDP to Mercyhurst, I wonder, like, is he the first kid that's played at the NTDP that ends up going to Mercyhurst? That just doesn't seem like a normal path there at all.
Top destination for those guys. Yeah, I'm not sure. I don't know since he played. Yeah, like you said, those 3 games this year, I'm not sure if that would count as a full year or not, because obviously I'm assuming he's not hurt or anything. So I'm assuming he'd have to go back to college next year as a junior, but I don't know the specifics of the situation. If it is 3 games and he played 3, I guess I'm not an expert on the eligibility rules for some of these guys, but that'll be something to watch for sure.
It's also something to watch to see who takes over as the captain now that Brock Schultz has been traded. I mean, do Do you go captain-less until you get to like Christmas break and then regroup after the holiday? Do you immediately hand off the C to an assistant captain? Training a captain in season, that's not a great way to endear yourself to your fans. I can't imagine that the Blackhawk faithful were all that thrilled to see the captain traded.
Yeah,
I also wonder. Oh, you go for it. Sorry, Sid.
Oh, I was just gonna say, yeah, I saw a lot of fans that were, very shocked and saddened by the trade because obviously you assume he's probably going to be here a while.
Yeah, and like especially at this level, it's something different where it's not only just like your family members who are invested, but you're living at a billet family's house, so that family gets upset. You add an extra family involved, I'm sure, like family friends. I'm sure he has buddies on the team, so he's at those billets houses. So I always wonder, like in those comments, how many of those are like fans versus like more involved with like the billet side. But yeah, I mean, he's a big piece going to Sioux Falls. Sioux Falls has been rolling. It's almost like you look at the standings. I know we'll get to it later, but Sioux Falls sitting in first place. They just traded a goalie who wasn't going to play for them this season for the captain of another team in their conference. So, like, that's almost like just, hey, we'll take your captain. You want this goalie that, like, the rich get richer in that situation, in my opinion. Like, good for Chambray coming back and hopefully finding that next opportunity. But that's a very odd one to me.
Yeah, and with Schultz, too. I believe he was originally a St. Thomas commit, right? And then just recently over the last year flipped to North Dakota, but played at East Grand Forks and then has been in Waterloo now for a while. Had 26 points last year, and then so far this year had 4 points through 12 games. Definitely not the biggest guy out there on the ice, but we know he's a talented player, and we've seen him play obviously plenty for the Green Wave in high school. So yeah,
that's the Chiswick connection there to North Dakota too. Chiswick was the GM in Waterloo. Was at St. Thomas, and now Chiswick up at North Dakota too. So cool little tie-in for him college-wise. And now he's on the top team in the West, so good for him, and hopefully good for Chambray. Maybe it's a win all around. Who knows?
Yeah, Waterloo with another move as well recently involving a Minnesotan. There hasn't been a ton of trades or anything. Just this week there was a few notable ones. Another Minnesotan here with Kaz Carlson, who plays high school hockey for Rockridge and is a St. Cloud State commit, has been traded from Waterloo to Des Moines in exchange for Jacob Lynch, who's not a Minnesotan, but he is a Miami commit, a guy who kind of tore up the Null last year and is kind of split, been called up to the USHL a little bit. So Waterloo making a couple of moves here, looking to shake things up and maybe change their fate for the rest of the season. I'm not sure. But I know Kaz Carlson, I don't think was playing a huge role out there in Waterloo, but Jacob Lynch, a guy who maybe could make an impact in the USHL. I know he's been a good Null player for sure.
Kaz Carlson, to kind of touch on, because I know we'll get to it eventually here, the high school potential comebacks, the confirmed comebacks, that sort of thing. Kaz Carlson would still be eligible to play high school hockey. One thing to note with the deal, he was added to the affiliate list. So it means he's taken off of that 24-man roster this year and moved to the affiliate list to make the trade, as Lynch was on Des Moines' affiliate list. So I kind of just wonder if they both go onto the roster of their given teams, if Lynch goes up to play with Waterloo now that two forwards have went out for the Blackhawks. If Carlson stays with Des Moines now, maybe he was planning on going back and Des Moines was the spot he wants to go. Just one little note there with the affiliate list is how that trade happened. Without the affiliate list, they weren't able to make a trade apparently at the time. So able to flip affiliates though.
Yeah, for sure. And Kaz Carlson with 2 points through 11 games for Waterloo. So we'll see then if he ends up playing with Des Moines or if he's headed back to play his senior year at Rockridge. Not quite sure on that one yet. We did have some news, though, recently on players that are returning to high school finally after a couple weeks of speculation of us saying, okay, I think this guy's leaning this way. I think this guy's leaning that way. We have heard confirmation that it sounds like both Tyden Bergeson and Zach Zimmerman are going to be heading back to Moorhead. That's pretty big for the Spuds, you guys. Obviously, that's really good news if you're a Moorhead fan, because those guys I sort of saw this summer going either way, but that's two really big players coming back to high school.
Yeah, you wonder after.
I'm waiting for the Madison expert here to fill us in.
Yeah. No, I figured, I don't know. I figured I'd wait a second, but either way, yeah, Titan has been tearing it up here. So it's a big hit to the Caps, leading the team in points right now of 12 through 13 games here. So tough to have your leading scorer leave. I know Zimmerman's been doing well in Fargo. I don't know if his stats like back that up for sure, but at the Fall Classic, I know he was a big part of both of their games. But yeah, I mean, along with Mickelson too from the Dub coming back for Moorhead, this has to catapult them towards the top end of AA, right? I would assume with a bunch of big names leaving Edina, that would mean they have to jump up in front of some of these, because I know you had mentioned a couple weeks ago, Sid, that Pedersen's not coming back for Shakopee, right? So you look throughout a lot of players. Bergeson's been tearing it up. I have no doubt that he'll tear it up back in Moorhead again. Zimmerman as well. Zimmerman and Bergeson. If they both said no, Moorhead's outlook on the season looks a lot different in my mind. So good for the Spuds going to play for the Potatoes, and hopefully come back healthy at the end of the season for both of them.
It's certainly good for Moorhead. Moorhead, I think they're at the top of 8AA. I mean, I don't think there's any discussion there. I don't know how close they end up to the Class 2A rankings. I'm not Carl, unfortunately, so I'm not quite sure how those rankings will shake out. It's obviously good news for Moorhead. I'm very surprised at Bergeson just because of how well he was playing with Madison, and it felt like he'd really carved out a nice role for himself. 5'5", PP, whatever. It felt like he was a big piece of the Capitals lineup. And Zim, the overtime game winner in the Fall Classic in Pittsburgh. That's a hell of a start to the season. Little surprised to see him go back to. I don't know about Brandon's deal out west. I'm not following the Dub as closely as I'm following the USHL, so I don't know if it was a matter of playing time or he just wanted to come back to Moorhead. But good news for the Spuds. Good news for everybody who follows high school hockey. And Drew, you hit the nail on the friggin' head. Hopefully they're healthy by the time it's time to go back.
Yeah, exactly. Because you mentioned it with the roles too. Like if Bergeson's leading the team in scoring, when you come back, he's going to be expected to be back at that form, right? So it's always the gamble with the Minnesota high school kids for a USHL team. Are they going to do before and after? Are they going to do full seasons? I know at least in the Capitals players' cases, I don't know how the communication was. It seems like that originally this season they kind of thought everyone was going to stay. We still have to make it through Monday, so there's more players that could go back that you don't even know about, right? Like Caps still have a couple more on our roster that could go back to play high school hockey. You look at Cash Cruitt at Andover. You look at Caleb Pitsley at Edina. Right now, indications say they're staying. I know that a certain Edina player tried to circle the wagons one day last week. That certain player was drafted by the Chicago Blackhawks in the first round. He tried to circle the wagons to get everybody to come back. I don't know if it was the agent, the school, the force, whoever it was, that got shot down in about a day. So it was a one-time push from a certain player that didn't end up happening. But maybe it will. I mean, like I said, we're 5 days away from the first practice.
Wow.
That's crazy.
That'd be crazy for sure. You already talked about Titan Bergeson stats. Zach Zimmerman, just for the record, has 6 points through 12 games for Fargo, which is tied for third on the roster in scoring. So good news for the Spuds. We still got a couple days, though, like you said, Drew, to kind of figure some things out before the high school season here kind of gets into full swing. And some of those guys I know too, like you said, Caleb Pitsley, when I talked to him, he said he didn't have his mind made up. He was leaning towards staying, but it's like, well, sometimes you never know, because some of those guys, you never know if their buddies are going to Snapchat them, and then all of a sudden, last minute, they're like, you know what? I'll just do it. I'll come back. So you never know.
Or a high school quarterback for a certain team sends a text
Oh
message
my
on a
God.
morning a couple weeks before.
That'd be crazy.
That's a rumor that I heard, so I can't like confirm that. Like, but I would take it from a very credible source that happened. I do know that there's a certain person trying out for the Edina High School team. Brooks Suter. He played at Moorhead last season. He lived with. I got in, dude. I might as well use him, right? This is the spot to let him go. Brooks Suter is going to be playing at high school level at Edina, or at least trying to make that varsity team. He's one of the top defenders at the 2010 age group. So I know that I know that there will be teams in the USHL that'll be going hard after him if he doesn't make the NTDP or choose to go that route. So that's a big ad for Edina on a week where there's a chance they don't have a lot of their guys back, because they don't have Schneider back, obviously, at the NTDP. There's a chance still that they're able to circle the wagons and get West Pitsley. And who's the one in Lincoln again? Sorry.
And Vandertop.
Vandertop.
He also told me, too, at the time, which this was probably now almost a month ago, so things could have obviously changed. Because him and Pedersen, it's funny, when I called them, I just called them, and one of them called me and then handed the phone off. So I talked to him back to back, which is kind of funny. And both of them told me pretty much the same thing. Of the plan when I talked to them at the time was to stay in the USHL, but that was the plan like a month ago. So you never know sometimes with guys. And like I don't think Pedersen would go back to Shakopee, but I could see some of those Edina guys, if there's so many of them that are in the same situation. Yeah. I still feel like that'd probably be a little bit like I'm still hesitant to believe that would happen. But boy, if they all went back, that would be some team with all those players on that roster.
Yeah. Wow. Well, when you look at the Caps roster here for Pitsley, at least with Bergeson leaving, there's a lot more ice time there, right? Like his role will grow. And I'm gonna take a wild guess that whatever role Mason West wants with the Fargo Force when his football season's over will be handed to him on a silver platter. So very interested to see come Monday at whatever time practice starts at Braemar. I'm sure other rinks around the state will be eyes all on just to make sure that certain guys are there. But I mean, yeah, anything can happen in the next 5 days. I know that USHL teams would love for the players that they want there to stay. So it's always tough to lose a player as talented as some of the players that are leaving.
Yeah. And don't forget Becker Wenkes either. He's a Des Moines. He's gotten some good time with Des Moines this fall. He's another Edina kid. I think it's interesting that Brooks is back at Edina. It's not, crazy. That's where he was for years before making the rounds to a couple of different places. He played this fall with Madison's 14U, 15U?
15. So he'll be phase 1 eligible this season.
Okay.
Yeah, he's playing with Nate Pavelski there, and then there was another kid that made to Rochester, whatever the camp is out in Buffalo or Rochester, named Max Stoffaker, a forward on that team.
Ooh. So
they have a handful of good kids on that team. So that's what it is a big thing leaving right now for Brooks. Going back to Edina, I think the family is moving there permanently. As I say, permanently, moving to that area to build their house. I think that's kind of where they're going to set up shop. I know Ryan's still going to have a huge part of the team here in Madison. Luckily, it's not 17 hours apart, 4 hours from Edina to here. So it's just an interesting move, and I hope it works out for Brooks. He's a great kid to see at the rink. Over my past 4 years, I've seen him grown up a little bit. I know it's off seasons mainly that I've seen him, but this season he's been skating with the Capitals a lot. Like you bring in those 15-year-old kids to see how they fit, if you like their skill, if you're a coach in our league. So it'll be interesting for sure.
And he's going to be filling a different type of role this year, no matter where he plays, because he wasn't on the first pairing with Moorhead's Bantam AA team. That was Easton Dozark and Beck Thorson. Thorson's with the NTDP now. Dozark migrated off to Detroit Honey Baked, their 15 only program. So Brooks is going to be in kind of a different situation, no matter where he plays, where he might be on that top pairing.
Well, so kind of moving through some of our notes here after kind of a tangent there a little bit, but in a good way.
Sid's like, guys, shut up.
For any of our listeners too, I know last week we talked a little bit about Gunnar Conboy, and I know both Drew and Peter have heard a couple of things or suspected a couple of things. Peter, do you want to tell us what you have heard lately about Gunnar Conboy?
I heard from a very, very good source that Gunnar will be making his season debut this week, which is very good news. He is apparently healthy after an injury. Bumped into his dad, Tim, at the Big Pumpkin in Rochester, where he is coaching the Lakeville North Pee Wee AA's. Gunnar's little brother, Crew, is on the team. It sounds like Gunnar is ready to go, which is really good news for Green Bay, and it's really good news for the USHL because Gunnar is one of those young, super, super talented kids that you want to be. You want him as a face of your league because it establishes, reestablishes, maintains whatever you want to call it, the USHL as a destination for young talent where they're not all leaving for the dub. And Gunnar 100% could have gone to the dub, but he's choosing to play in the USHL. His dad's a skills coach with the Des Moines Bucks. And if it's good enough for one of the best players in his age group in the country, it's probably good enough for you too. So Gunnar coming back is huge, not only for the Gamblers, but for the league as an advertisement.
And good for ticketing in Madison. We were gonna go with the other source. I sent a text in the group chat between the three of us this morning. Yeah, I have a pretty good source on some news for Gunnar Conboy, and I think Peter one-ups me there. But I saw that Tim Conboy had bought tickets this weekend, and I was just gonna come on here and connect the dots. That I don't think Tim Conboy is coming down to Middleton, Wisconsin, to Cap Ice to catch Conboy not in the lineup. So it's good to see him back.
Zamboni lessons, Drew. So he's got to get out there.
Yeah, true. Maybe that's actually why he had messaged me on the side that knowing that I could set up Zamboni rides and lessons now, that he was going to come down for that.
Obviously.
Oh Lord.
So that would be exciting. We'll see if that happens this weekend. Sounds pretty probable at this point. A couple of shout outs for some Minnesotans doing some good stuff here lately. We saw Stillwater's own Luka Jarvis scored his first official USHL goal. He's had plenty of points for Tri-City, but got that first official goal. He now has 7 points in 16 games for Tri-City, which is pretty crazy because I believe he's still only like 16. So doing really well as one of those young guys in the USHL. I just checked. I guess he'll be 17 in like a week and a half or so, but still pretty young. I saw a pretty good overtime game-winning goal recently for Cade Kohansky of Hermantown, and of course a Duluth commit because obviously most of the Hermantown kids are Duluth commits, as we know. But I saw he had a pretty good OT game-winning goal. One that I got tagged in over the last couple weeks was it looks like Cooper Conway might be back on the market now for a commitment. I know early on in the season we always are looking at the line charts and going, okay, kind of who's doing what's going to happen here. And I'm sure plenty of people, if you've been following high school hockey the past few years, would know Cooper Conway from all the really good Andover teams from the past few years and the ones that were at state for a long time with all those other good players, Gavin Thorson, Caden Casey, all those. There's a bunch of them. I'm not going to list all of them because there's a lot of them in D1 or committed to D1 right now. But he was committed to Colorado College, and I saw that the logo is not next to his name anymore. So that might be one to watch. Very interesting, especially because currently he has 12 points in 12 games, so doing pretty good there. And just going to take a quick look at the USHL standings and top scorers here before moving on. Standings, again, nothing too crazy since our last time we recorded. Muskegon, thanks, Drew, or whoever put that up on here. Muskegon, 22 points, and then Dubuque has 20, and then if you move to the west, Sioux Falls has 19. And then, you can look at the whole chart yourself if you're watching this. on the video. And then the bottom with the least points would be, the NTDP in the East, and in the West it's Waterloo and then Omaha. So that's kind of a little bit, if you want to look more in depth on everything, you can look it up yourself. I don't need to recite all of them. And same with top scorers, not super different from the last time we recorded. There were some commitments, which I'll get to in a second here. But Brent Solomon, Cooper Simpson still doing really well up there for the Minnesota guys. So love to see that. We have to say that phrase at least minimum, a couple times per show easily.
Don't take it personally, Sydney.
We got to, so I had to throw that in there. A couple, as I was looking through the transaction list, and we'll get to the interesting item here in a second, but I saw a couple guys added to injured reserve. And again, after talking to Drew last week, some of these I'm not sure if they're retroactive or if they're all new. Not quite sure. But a couple guys added to injured reserve: Thaddeus McMahon for Omaha, Dallas Potter of Sioux City, in Yurku, I want to say. I don't know 100% the pronunciation on that one, of Omaha. And then a return from injured reserve for Omaha would be Ryder Reynolds as well. So a couple guys in and out with injuries there. But the really interesting one that I saw, that I texted our group chat immediately to see if anyone had any inside info, and we don't, but I thought it was still a bit curious nevertheless, was the USHL transactions list shows that Lincoln Keene was added to Sioux City, which doesn't mean like he's added to the roster immediately or anything. But that's interesting because that means that they must think there's a chance possibly that he could be coming back to juniors. And I know sometimes teams just do that just in case, and then it doesn't happen. But I was very curious, so I know I texted you guys because currently he is playing with Arizona State. And I'm not saying that means he's coming back, so don't quote me on that. But obviously that means Sioux City must think that there's a non-zero chance that he could come back to juniors. So I don't know what you guys think of that. And I know we've seen that a couple times in the past, Drew. I don't know how often it happens that guys get added and then they don't officially get on the roster. I don't know how much you see that or not, but I know it does happen from time to time.
Yeah, I think last season, the biggest one last year where you didn't quite know if he was going to report and that sort of thing was Ivan Rabkin in Muskegon. He got added in like November and didn't play a game until January. So it could happen. Another example of this, Lincoln Keene, obviously the NTDP defenseman, didn't get drafted this spring. A guy who got drafted in the second round, or this summer, not this spring, that got drafted in the second round of the NHL draft, Jacob East Wozniak. I don't quite know the pronunciation on that. I'm sure I'll learn it. He got added to Dubuque's protected list a couple of weeks ago, which means he got added to the 24-man roster, but that doesn't mean necessarily that he's going to play, right? Like, you can be on a roster, you can list whoever, but if they don't play, like, who cares, right? So I'll be interested to see if Keene plays. If Wozniak plays for Dubuque, that's a huge spin too. Adding a second rounder to a team that's got as much offensive firepower as Dubuque has already. But yeah, it doesn't happen all the time. And usually that means they hear a rumor, right? Hockey Ops hears from an agent, from one of his buddies, or something is taking that off to say, yeah, we need to add it. It's not like they're just adding him to say, oh yeah, it would look really cool if we added him to our protected list and nothing ever happened from it, right? That'd be crazy. I mean, maybe it'd stir him into coming. Like, maybe he'd be like, wow, maybe I'm not safe on my college roster. But I would assume that means they've heard something, and like you said, it's a non-zero chance. I don't know what percentage to put it at, though, if that makes sense too.
Yeah, and I
couldn't add anything to that.
Okay. I just wanted to point out too, because some people, because I tweeted this earlier and I didn't want to cause any hysteria, but I said might be nothing, but also might be something, with the emoji that like has the finger on the chin. Because this has happened before in the past, and I've had people that are like, it doesn't mean anything, don't even say it. But the last time this happened, I actually turned out to be right, and it did end up, this player end up going to the USHL, because the last time it happened, Cole Spicer was added to, on this transaction sheet, it said Cole Spicer added to Youngstown. And this was originally back when he was playing at Duluth, and then he was deemed academically ineligible. And it didn't happen right away. It wasn't like he got added to the transaction list and then reported the next day or anything. It did take a little bit of time. But eventually then he did end up going back to junior hockey. So I don't know if this is something that means like Lincoln. I don't think it means he's going to be in the USHL tomorrow because he's still on the Arizona State roster. We already checked. So I don't think it's going to be happening like super soon. But I wouldn't be surprised if maybe after this semester, maybe they heard something's up, or maybe even for after this year. I don't know. Maybe that means after this year, there's a chance he would go back to juniors. I don't know.
It wouldn't be this year because to retain his rights after the year, he would have to play 10 USHL games if he's on a roster. So it is weird. It would have to be during the season. Otherwise, I know like Spicer got drafted after being on Youngstown's roster. There's a situation a couple years back. Tommy Cronin was on Madison and didn't play all 10 games, so he got drafted by Waterloo the next off season. So things like that happen frequently too. Another thing to look out for with that, though, players have more options now, right? I'm not saying Lincoln Keene to the dub, but Lincoln Keene, his USHL rights are now the Sioux City. I'm sure that a player in college is going to explore all options now. That's just how the world's kind of happening. I still believe that the USHL is the best route for him. Being a United States kid, getting to play in the USHL, I just could see a world where that could happen as well. So not as much in the past where Cole Spicer came back to the USHL because he still wanted to play college hockey. It may be something a little different this time around than the past.
So again, it could be nothing. He could just end up staying there. But whenever things like that happen to me, it is very curious because like you said, Drew, obviously somebody heard something. And whether or not there's any truth to that, we don't know. But obviously somebody thinks something could be up.
All it takes is one good weekend for Lincoln Keene at Arizona State, and this just becomes nothing.
Yeah.
Too, right? Like he scores 3 goals this weekend. I have a feeling that Arizona State will be like, he'll stay at Arizona State. He'll want to stay there, and Arizona State will want to keep him too. That's the crazy thing with the ever-changing world of college hockey. He might have heard a rumor that he's on the outs for next season, right? Like just with how many new kids are eligible. So I'll be interested to see if Lincoln Keene throws up 17 goals this weekend. If he's heading to Sioux City, Iowa, instead of staying in the desert.
Yeah, and just Arizona State too, they had a lot of turnover on their roster last year to this year, so there's a lot of fresh faces, and I don't think they've been as good as they were last year. Their results not looking super amazing right now, in my opinion, so we'll kind of see what happens to them this season, because maybe that's part of it too. You go and you think one thing might happen with this team, and then it could be a lot of things. So something to watch. We'll see. I don't know, but that was our speculation, I guess, for the day. A couple of new commitments, though, I thought we could talk about. One Minnesotan and then a couple of other just USHL guys in general. We did find out, breaking news, how to say Jack Stanius's last name. For anyone who's listening, it is not Stanius. We've been informed. Stanius. There we go. But
Stanius.
Yes, Peter heard it himself.
Gotcha.
Yeah, Drew also heard confirmation as well. Which actually was perfect timing that we mentioned him on the show last week because I was going to say, I typed this wrong. I wanted to bring up his name, but then the guy that committed to Western Michigan, Max Ryder from the Madison Capitals, Drew, there's been a couple of Caps announcing commitments here. We got him. We got Harper Fry. What can you tell us about these two players here?
Busy week in Capslandia over here in Madison. Max going to Western Michigan. I think being able to join the reigning national champions is a big selling point to any player. Add in the fact that Furschweiler has publicly said that they're building the new stadium and he hasn't been told no on anything he's asked for. I've been told that was said directly to Max in that meeting too. I talked with Sage Ryder, Max's dad, on Saturday night in Cedar Rapids, and it just seemed like the right decision for the family all around. Sage said that he hasn't been to Kalamazoo, but he's very excited to go. With the new barn coming, their recruiting advantage of being the national champions just gets doubled going forward with the new building too. Firstweiler's got the program going in the right direction, and you'd think if pro offers were coming, you would find those right after a national championship. I think Firstweiler's committed to open that new building though for Western. And then, I guess I should bring up Harper Fry too at the same time. But yeah, we go ahead on Max. We'll do that first. Sorry.
No, I didn't have anything on Max. I was going to ask. So did Stanius commit or not?
No, I had my notes because I wanted to also mention his name, but he is not committed yet. But I wouldn't be surprised if there's a commitment coming soon because he's been tearing it up.
No, I wouldn't be surprised if he committed soon either. I was going to say, though, if he committed to Western Michigan, Firstweiler has a type, and it's a 5'8" bulldog who can pile up the points and plays their butt off. That would be the Western Michigan type.
Yeah, I mean that fits Max. Max, I think has grown a little bit since the 5'8", but
so he's 5'9". Great. That's
yeah. He's not. I don't think he's breaking 6 foot. He's, but yeah. Him going to Western. He's been in that first line mix for the Capitals over the past couple of weeks. But then Harper Fry, another cool story. I think a Madison native, played AAA Caps. Played last season with the Wendigo, and now here with the Capitals USHL team. This kid just eats, sleeps, and breathes Wisconsin. Apparently, Wisconsin hockey. So he's a solid defenseman. He's out right now with a concussion. Suffered a couple weeks back. It was actually pretty scary here at Cap Ice. But this was something that I kind of felt could be coming soon, and never hurts to add a Big Ten logo to a line chart. One more thing on Harper. This is a quote from Ryan Suter the other day. He played AAA Caps. Harper did. His mom actually used to work with the Caps AAA program as well. So Ryan referred to him as like a son to their whole family because Garrett Suter runs the AAA program. Ryan, obviously a big piece of it as well, playing in the same arena that's named after their dad too. So a cool story all around, just because that the Sooners have such a tie-in with the University of Wisconsin, and now Harper Fry coming from the youth program that they run, playing for the USHL team that is owned by Ryan and now committed to UW as well.
For sure, yeah. Those were the two Caps commitments, and then a couple of other ones that I saw recently. Thought I would just say them real quickly. Cade Meyer of Waterloo currently. He's another guy who's actually from Wisconsin, but committed to St. Thomas, which is kind of rare. I feel like St. Thomas has so many Minnesotans. It's rare to see non-Minnesotan commit there. So that was interesting to see. Luke Brierley of Dubuque committed to Brown. And then one of the big ones here, one of the top prospects, I want to say his last name, Drew, feel free to correct me, Alex Pelletier.
Nailed it. Pelletier.
One of the top scorers right now for the USHL, I believe the leading scorer, has committed to Boston College. I needed to look up what his former commitment was. I wanted to say it was like Cornell, but it was somewhere else, and now he's headed to BC, but I'll double check that. But I know he's been tearing it up recently, and he's got 13 goals, which is crazy. So he's definitely one of those top guys. And yeah, I just double checked. It was Cornell. So Cornell now going to BC, but obviously he's a top guy because if you look at the leading scorers, he has 13 goals right now, which everybody else at the top of the list, closest one has 9. So he's got 4 more goals than the next closest guy there. So pretty there.
Pelletier's been tearing it up. One thing before Peter goes, sorry. Cade Meyer, a cool story with Cade Meyer. To circle back, he played high school hockey at Lakeland Union High School in Wisconsin. assistant coach on that team's Gary Suter. So another connection to the Suter family there. Gary, a longtime NHLer. Sorry, Peter.
No, that's okay. I had one more note on Cade Meyer, too. How funny is that? I don't remember where I was, but I saw Cade Meyer and JJ Marthaler were teammates for T-Dub, the 22, I think it was probably fall of 22. And from what I recall, and Cade Meyer's parents or JJ Marthaler's parents can call me and tell me I'm an idiot and don't remember this correctly, but from what I remember, JJ was always 6'1". Like JJ Marthaler popped out of the womb at 6'1", 200 pounds, and Cade was down here. And sometimes when they were paired on D together, it was a little bit like watching Danny DeVito and another cast member from Always Sunny, where Cade was just this little water bug, and then there's JJ who looks like he's chiseled out of granite. So if I'm wrong, someone can tell me I'm wrong, but I remember clearly watching those two play on the blue line together on the power play for T-Dub, and just the incredible height difference. Super, super skilled, both of them, but JJ was I think people pegged JJ as a legit D1 prospect when he was probably 12 or 13 years old. And it's really cool to see Cade come into his own and take those next steps. And he played for Little Caesars last year, and I'm sure he got some really good coaching there. And he'll do St. Thomas proud.
Yeah, Cade. I think Cade's still a little on the shorter side. Don't mean to say a little.
5'9".
Yeah, so we had them at the beginning of the month of October, and I actually saw them at the national championships. They were here last season, so it's cool to see kind of the development path that you're talking about, where you see a player at the Team Wisconsin level, and now you see them at Little Caesars. You see their names just pop up, and then finally have that logo slapped next to their name. A cool feeling for sure.
Well, just a couple of other notes here from some of the other leagues. I thought I would mention them. There was a couple of firsts in the NAL recently that I thought I would bring up. A couple first NAL goals and wins. Nico Russ, formerly of STA, first NAL goal for North Iowa. So again, I got to say the cliche phrase, love to see it. Along with another former STA guy, Cody Neeson, his first NAL win in net for the Minnesota Mallards. Another first NAL goal as well, Alex Ballard, former Roseau guy. I think he played in the MJ last year, actually, and now is in the NAL with Kenai. First NAL goal. Couple trades as well. Parker Duchesne, who we mentioned, I want to say on like the first show we recorded, maybe, or second. Was doing pretty well in Danbury, coming back to Minnesota to play with the Mallards, it looks like. I saw, speaking of comings and goings here, according to the MN High School Hockey Talk account, that it sounds like Carson Steinhoff is likely returning to Shakopee for his high school season. So that's one player. But he was in the NAL, so I feel like it's a little less shocking when NAL guys go back to their USHL, to their high school teams. And then for anyone listening, if anyone likes the nerdy NAL tender tracker type stuff, I will have that up on apx.com or apx-hockey.com. If you go to the news and then the databases tab, I know I had some people message me when that was going to go up, because for anyone who likes to track that stuff, NAL tenders, I believe the first day you can sign them is like November 1st, because usually it's in November. So I've already seen a couple Minnesota high school kids sign their tenders. I'll be tracking that throughout the season. So that should be up by the time this podcast is posted. So go check it out if you want to see the nerdy stuff. Otherwise, you guys, did you have anything funny you saw? Any good memes? Drew, was there any good Facebook comments this week? I honestly didn't see very many, but I wasn't super tuned in this last week.
I didn't go super deep. I first want to start it off. Obviously, it's Halloween this past weekend. Cedar Rapids decided to have a couple players dress up as referees, and those name bars on the back of those refereeing jerseys, all actually referees or linesmen in the USHL. So I thought that was a cool little touch. They did get one fact wrong here. Fagan is a referee, not a linesman. So I will have to correct them on that. But overall, I kind of like it, giving you're dressing up as the people judging your games. Maybe gets a couple of calls for you. I didn't really see any officiating going their way directly against the Caps this past weekend, but that was a cool one. And then the only real comment I saw, I didn't get any good videos from this week, but there was a fight posted on the Trash Talk page, and this is what top contributor Ryan had to say. I love me a good ass whipping, but good Lord, is that must-cut kid undisciplined. All he seems to do is take penalties and start fights. Make sure to clarify, just from what I've seen, not a Muskies fan. So maybe we'll need a Sioux City fan to give us some more input on Case and Muscat.
Yeah, that's pretty wild. I really didn't see too many unhinged comments this past week. Maybe it was also because it was Halloween, so I just wasn't, as dialed in as I normally am to some of the Facebook groups. But maybe people are becoming aware. Maybe they're like, hey, we got to rein it in or we're going to get called out on the pod. You never know.
Top contributor Ryan hasn't gotten that memo yet.
We have confirmed more than one listener, you guys. I know that. So that is pretty fancy. We might have two. You never know.
Hey, I'm just saying we break news on this podcast.
We're
ready to go.
Let's be real. Yeah. And if anything happens with Lincoln Keene, you heard it here first. If it doesn't, oh well, just forget about it. But if it does, we're breaking news, you guys.
Whatever we're saying is right, and if it's wrong, it wasn't us saying it.
Then don't quote us.
I'll even tease some breaking news for a week from today. We'll have some knowledge on the World Junior A roster a week from today. I don't know if the rosters will be released. I learned of one today. I'm not going to – my source is that player's mom. So that'll be my source. So that'll be a tease for episode – what is it? This is 4 now or is this 5?
I don't know. 4.
All right, so it's a tease for episode 5.
Oh, my God.
It involves a Minnesotan kid too, so all the ties in. Yeah.
I got one last thing to say. Carson Steinhoff going back to Shakopee, that is huge, not just for Carson because I think it's a good spot for him. He's got 1 assist in 10 games with the Mallard. With the Mallards, he can go back to the Mallards at the end of the season. It's a big deal for Shakopee because Carson Steinhoff is an outstanding kid. He's worn a letter for that program for like 5 years at this point. He was also part of the first really good youth group from Shakopee that had Cole Bumgarner and Nate Pedersen. Shakopee loses 8 seniors. It needs all of its upperclassmen that have junior opportunities to come back if they're going to have a shot in section play. Bumgarner is gone. Pedersen's going to stay in the USHL. Carson Steinhoff is one of those links from this group's humble beginnings as squirts and peewees to where they are now as high school upperclassmen. Huge for Shakopee for Carson to come back.
For sure.
Love to see it.
Love to see it. You love to see it, don't you?
No, I think we kept the number of less than 5 this show, so that's pretty good. I think that's probably the goal is about 5 per show anymore. It's probably too much. So that's good.
1,000 times.
An appropriate amount this show, but otherwise, thanks for tuning in to another episode. We had some fun speculation, hopefully some breaking news as well. We'll see how it all plays out over the rest of this year. And again, thanks to our sponsors, the one and only, the USHL. We love them, and we'll have plenty more USHL news next week. Along with APX Hockey, you can visit apx-hockey.com to find out more information. Training, development, advising, whatever it is you need, we probably got it for you. But otherwise, thanks so much for tuning in. We'll have another next episode coming out next week.